Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on the bank feeds process. Now it primarily is going to be in 29.2, but we are going to touch upon the process in the earlier versions as well. My name is Abby and I will be your host for this afternoon. We do also have Michael and Tina on hand to answer your questions throughout the session, as I'm sure there will be plenty, so do please bear with us if you can. Now, I just want to also welcome you to the first session of our week-long celebrations of International Accounting Day, which is actually on Friday, the 10th of November. So we're doing a week-long of plenty of sessions, various topics. So some of you may already know about our first ever digital badge for 50 accounts, but I'll just briefly explain for those who are not aware. So if you would like to receive a badge, all you have to do is register and attend 4 out of the 7 sessions of your choice to receive the digital badge. Now you do need to make sure that you are registering and attending with the same email address each time for you to qualify. So you will receive the badge via email in due course to the email address that you registered and you attend with. So it does have to be the same email address. Okay, so just before we start the session, I just want to cover some housekeeping. So what you will see is that you will be placed on mute when you join. That is so you cannot speak directly to us during the webinar and will not be able to unmute yourself, but will not impact your ability to hear us today. If you do have any questions, however, you can use the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen by clicking the option that looks like a little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. This will then open up the panel where you can send your questions across, but either me, Michael or Tina will be able to answer these for you. We do also have a handout for today. You can do this by clicking on the button that looks like a little document with the folded corner. We would recommend downloading this as it does have some links to our help centre. Okay, so this is what we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to start by introducing bank feeds, comparing manual reconciliation and what are the benefits of using bank feeds. I will then briefly cover using bank feeds in version 29.0 and below. There will be video demonstration of the new bank feeds in version 29.2. I will then briefly cover bank feeds rules. I'm not going to go into too much detail as I have in previous sessions, as we do have a session specifically for bank feeds rules on the 21st of November. And then lastly, we will look at how bank connects to your software and how to activate bank feeds. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to launch a quick poll. So we just want to get an idea of how many of you are currently using bank feeds in the software. So yes, no, I choose not to, no, I don't know what it is. And for those of you who are not using bank feeds at the moment, again, as I've mentioned, we are going to be discussing how to activate bank feeds towards the end of today's session. So we do usually wait until we get around 70–75% of those votes in. So I can see they're coming in nice and quick now. So we'll just wait for a little bit longer just for those answers to come in. And then I'll share the results with you as well. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll share the results with you. So as you can see, actually 57% of you on today's session don't actually know what bank feeds is. So we've got plenty of information within this session, but also we've got some links to our help centre that will be able to support you with that as well. 32% of you choose not to. So hopefully by the end of today's session, I can convince you why it's more efficient way to work. And then 11% of you already do use it. So hopefully we can actually give you some more tips, helpful tips on how to use bank feeds as well. So what I'll do is I'll just hide that poll now. And we'll start with what are bank feeds. A bank feed allows you to automate your bank reconciliation by connecting to your live bank accounts. It enables you to download transactions from your bank and match against transactions already entered into your Sage accounts. Where a transaction has not yet been entered into your software, it can be created or set up to more automatically post them into your software. So with bank feeds rules, it's easy to automate regular bank transaction postings as well. And just to mention as well, bank feeds has been available since version 22, but it hasn't really changed much in that time. So that's why with the latest version, we've started to make those improvements. And just to make you aware as well, bank feeds are a one-way link. So information is not going to be sent from your Sage account software up to your bank account. It only pulls the information down from your bank. So I just want to look at a little matrix here. So for those of you who are choosing not to use it or don't know how to use bank feeds and things like that, you might still be doing your manual reconciliation in the software, or you might not be doing it within Sage at all. But I just want to compare the two options that you have in the software. So as you can see, I've got a list here. So features that you can get in the software. So download bank transactions. So you can't do this in manual reconciliation. You have to make sure all your transactions have already been posted into the software. For bank feeds, you pull the information down from the bank, and you can create transactions from those downloaded transactions. Manual match transactions. So you can manually match in the reconciliation window, but you can also manually match within bank feeds as well. So it's not entirely automated. You do still have that option to manually match as well. Auto match transactions. So you don't have that feature within manual reconciliation, but you do have the option to auto match within bank feeds. And I'll come onto that a little bit later in the session. Create transactions. So you can create transactions within the reconciliation window as well as within the bank feeds window as well. To create rules to automatically post transactions. So you don't have this option within manual reconciliation. It's a lot of manual entry with manual reconciliation. Whereas bank feeds, you can set up rules for regular transactions to be automatically posted into the software for you. Is there an additional charge to use this feature? So there is no additional charge to use manual reconciliation, but there is no charge to also use bank feeds. So the benefits of using bank feeds is it reduces manual entry. It's completely free, so there's no additional charges from us or from the bank to use this feature. There's no need for multiple browser windows, looking away from the screen at your paper statement on the desk. Sage can automatically match transactions from your bank that have already processed into Sage. When creating a new transaction from a bank feed transaction, you can manually allocate the payment or receipt within one window rather than allocating to the invoice at a later date. Any missing Sage transactions can be added quickly with posting details automatically populated. So ultimately, you can automate a lot of your processing using bank feeds rules. But again, like I say, there is a session in a couple of weeks on bank feeds rules if you do want to get registered for that as well. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the bank feeds window in 29.0 and below. So the reason we're only briefly looking at this is we do have a full session on our recordings page of the bank feeds in older versions, and it also includes bank feeds rules as well. So today we're going to be focusing more on the bank feeds in 29.2. It is the same principle with all the same functionality, but it's just navigating around is slightly different. If you do want to watch the recording for older versions after this session, I have provided the link to the recording in the chat, so I'm just going to pop that in now. So just bear with me a moment. Just pop that in there. Okay, so if you do want to watch that recording on the older versions, maybe if you are on 29.0 below, you can check that out as well. If you have the handout downloaded, you can click on that green button in the top right-hand corner as well. Okay, so just briefly looking at the older version of the bank feeds. So this is what you're going to currently see as per my example on the screen there. So you have got the option to download transactions. So you've got a little button here. You can also manual match. So you could just select a transaction on one side, select a transaction on the other, and then you would just click match on the right-hand side. You have got the option to auto match as well. So in the latest version, that does happen automatically for you when you log into your bank feeds. That can automatically match transactions, but you have the option on the older bank feeds to click auto match here. You've also got the option to process recurring items along the top bar as well. You can also ignore transactions. You've got ignore down the right hand side, and you can also view ignore with the ability to restore those ignored transactions back into the list. So to create rules, you've got the option down the right hand side, but you can manage your rules along the top as well. And also as well, you can use find along the top right, and that's to locate transactions, whether it be your bank feeds transactions or your Sage transactions. Okay, so let's have a look at bank feeds in the latest version. So bank feeds is a simple process. It can be broken down into 3 easy steps. So let's take a look at those 3 easy steps, and then we'll move on to some demonstration. Okay, so the auto match. So this is the first tab that we have. So the auto match tab will show suggested matches. Any Sage transaction with the same value, give or take 4 days, it will be a suggested match. You can specify the date to download the transactions up to, and matches are indicated by a green link between the transactions. There are 2 ways in which you can match transactions. So you can auto match or you can manually match. So the software will also locate and present similar transactions for you to review and select if needed, or unmatch the suggested if it's not correct. So once you've confirmed the auto match transactions, you can then move on to manually matching the remaining transactions. So you can match one bank transaction to one Sage transaction. You can match one bank transaction to many Sage transactions. You can match many bank transactions to one Sage transaction, or you can match many to many. Once the balance matches, it will automatically move to the confirmed tab. And as you can see as well, if you've used previous versions of the bank feeds, it was a little bit harder to see what was linked with the 2 transactions together, whereas here you can see now we've improved and we've added the green link so you can see clearly what is linked to what transaction as well, if you've got multiple transactions. If the relevant Sage transaction does not exist, You can create it at a click of a button without having to leave the bank feed screen. So if you've realised you've forgotten to process recurring transactions, any missing recurring items can be created from within the bank feeds module. Again, as I mentioned earlier on the previous bank feeds, you can ignore transactions and you can hide them from that window, but you also have the option to restore. So you can see you're getting a lot of the same options that you had on the previous version. It's just navigating to where they are in the new version. And then lastly, we have the Confirmed tab. So this tab allows you to review all confirmed matches, and it also allows you to create rules. From here, you can save and close, or you can save and continue to the next, try again, unsave and continue to the reconciliation window. The best way to show you bank feeds is to show it in action. So let's look at the next video demonstration. So it is around 10 minutes long. If you do have any questions, do pop them into the questions panel down the right-hand side. If you haven't already opened that, it's a little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. Do keep your questions coming throughout the video, as me, Michael and Tina can still answer those for you. Once the video's ended, I'll come right back to you.
In this video, we'll show you the new Bank Feeds module. Bank Feeds and Bank Feed settings can now be found in the new Bank Feeds module. This dedicated module can be accessed using the navigation bar on the left-hand side. To access your Bank Feed settings, in the top right, click Settings. Here you can choose how the transactions are downloaded from your bank into Sage 50 accounts. You can select what time transactions are downloaded. You can opt to download them manually and select whether you'd like bank feeds to auto-match transactions when you enter the bank feeds window. In addition, you can check in approvals for any outstanding transactions from bank feeds rules which are waiting to be approved for posting into your accounts. We will cover this in more detail later. There are also individual bank feed settings for each bank account. Here you can check the bank feed status, choose whether any transactions created from bank feeds rules are flagged as reconciled, and should you wish to do so, you can disconnect your bank feed here. Connected bank accounts will show first in the list by default, followed by all other banks not yet connected. Let's look at the 3 stages of the new bank feeds feature. Choose your bank account and click the option to open. For the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to choose Bank 1210. We understand bank feeds are changing significantly. Therefore, we've provided in-product navigational tools to assist you with the new process. This help will appear each time you enter the window and help you navigate through the steps. If you'd like to stop the in-product help appearing, select the Don't Show Me Again checkbox. The Auto Match feature will match any transactions downloaded from your bank account to any existing Sage transactions. They need to have the same value and have a transaction date within 4 days of any transactions already entered into your Sage accounts. You can filter the downloaded transactions by date. To do this, at the top of the window, choose the date you want to include transactions up to, and the transactions will filter automatically. There are 2 parts to the screen. On the left, the bank transactions which have been downloaded from your bank, and on the right, the transactions entered into the Sage bank account manually. You can specify what information you'd like to include on the Sage transactions. To do this, use the drop-down menu at the top right. This can help identify transactions, for example by including details such as the transaction number, the extra reference, and the transaction details. Matches are indicated by the green link between the transactions. Here you can confirm if they're correct by clicking on Confirm, and this will transfer them to the Confirmed tab. You can unmatch transactions if an incorrect match has been made, and once unmatched you can manually match the transactions within the To Be Matched tab. We'll show you this in step 2. You can also confirm all transactions at the same time by clicking Confirm All. For transactions where there is more than one possible match, the potential transactions are presented. You can view the potential matches and choose the correct transaction. Next, we'll take a look at the To Be Matched tab. In Product Help will appear again with instructions and video demonstrations to help you with the transition to the new bank feeds module. Transactions shown here could not be auto-matched with any existing transactions in Sage. This allows you to manually match the remaining transactions. Searches can be applied for both bank and Sage transactions, and sorts apply to the transaction lists, including by date, amount, reference, type, or revert to default. Manual matching allows you to match multiple transactions, not just on a one-to-one basis. For example, this first transaction here has been processed as 2 separate transactions in Sage accounts. We can match the single transaction to both of the Sage transactions. To do this, either highlight the transactions to be matched and select Match Selection, or you can click and drag between 2 transactions to form the transaction link. If there's only a part match, you will see the orange indicator or part match badge on the transaction link. Once the full match is achieved, the transactions will move to the Confirm tab. Manual matching can be done for multiple transactions. If you're dragging to form matches, once the balances from both the bank account and the Sage transactions match, as shown here, they will move to the Confirmed tab automatically. The alternative again is to highlight all of the transactions and click Match Selection. Matching can also work the other way. One Sage transaction might comprise of 2 transactions downloaded from your bank. Again, we can drag to form the transaction links or highlight all transactions involved and click Match Selection. Providing the selected difference is 0, this will match them and move them to the Confirm tab. From the To Be Matched tab, you can also create any missing transactions. Click the Create option on the bank transaction and choose the type you'd like to create. Enter the transaction details, and this can also allocate the payment to an outstanding invoice if applicable. This can also apply if we have part of a transaction entered into Sage accounts but part is missing. We can match the transaction and then select Create to create the missing element. Here we have a part match for £1,000. We can then click Create and process a transaction for the missing £273.08. Within this window, if you realise you have recurring items missing, you can also view your recurring items and process these without leaving the Bank Feeds window. This will add them to the Bank Feeds window to be manually matched. Should you wish to ignore a transaction, for example if it's a duplicate, highlight the item and click Ignore Selection. This can be reinstated if required. To view the ignored transactions, click View Ignored, and to reinstate these to the To Be Matched window, select Restore. It's important to note that if you leave the bank feeds window at this point, all matches will be lost and the matching process will need to start again. This will not, however, undo any transactions created during the bank feeds process up to this point. The final step is to review all confirmed transactions before proceeding to bank reconciliation. This allows you to review transaction matches and double-check your data before saving. By highlighting a match, you can clearly see and check the Sage transactions and the bank transactions that have been matched against one another. There is the search feature for easily locating transactions, and you can then make any amendments or unmatch any incorrect transactions, sending them back to the To Be Matched tab if required. In addition, from this window, we have the option to create rules. Bank feeds rules can help automate your processing even further. You can set up specific rule criteria and provide posting details to be applied to transactions. Each time a transaction downloaded from the bank matches the set criteria, a Sage transaction will be automatically created, saving you time and reducing the risk of human error. There is also the option to export all confirmed transactions into a CSV file should you need to do so. Finally, we have the option to save. Save and close will save your progress, transferring all transactions to the match box of bank reconciliation. It allows you to come back to the reconciliation step at a later point through bank and reconcile. If you're ready to reconcile immediately, then use the option to save and continue to reconcile. This will save progress and immediately open bank reconciliation for you. Enter your statement details, and you can then see your transactions which have been matched during bank feeds are already in the matched box. Once you're happy with your bank reconciliation, click Reconcile to flag these transactions as reconciled.
Okay, so that is the bank feeds as a whole, really. So just, I know we tend to get these questions quite a lot on the sessions in terms of, will I get access to that video? So you are going to receive a link in your follow-up email to this recorded session, which will include that video if you do need to refer back to it after the session has ended. Now, we did get a question come in there from Yulia, and I just wanted to cover this. So I use Sage 50 Accounts Essentials. I cannot see bank feeds in the left-hand side of my Sage screen. How can I activate or find this? So this could be a couple of things. So I just wanted to come in to the software. So if you're in version 29, you will see it down the left-hand side, unless your user profile has not got the level of access. So it could be, if you are definitely on version 29, you can check this by going to Help and then into About. Just want to quickly cover this, and it will tell you what version you are on. It may be that your settings, user management, and it may be that you don't have that level of access. So if we just pop into this user, it may be that your level of access hasn't been selected for bank feeds. And that's just at the bottom. Another thing it could be is that you are on an earlier version. So if I just pop into my version 28, and you can see I don't have bank feeds down the left-hand side. So all you need to do is you pop into bank accounts, and you should see it along the top here. So you can see bank feeds. I've got the option there. If you still don't, again, it could be down to your level of access. So you want to be getting that checked as well. But bank feeds is available on Essential, Standard, and Professional. Okay, so let's just pop back into the slides there. And I actually just want to cover some frequently asked questions. I can see we're actually getting some questions around the multi-currency bank accounts and things like that. So I am going to cover this at this point. So the first question that we've had is, can you revert to manual reconciliation? And the answer is yes. So you can still manually reconcile while bank feeds is connected. You would just go into bank accounts and open the reconciliation window as normal. So it could be that if you're one of the people that voted, no, I don't know what it is, and you've never used it before, or you choose not to, you could try it, activate bank feeds, set it up, test it, time it. How long is it taking you to do the bank feeds? Is it quicker? If it's not for you, you don't need to do anything. You just simply go back into the bank reconciliation window, if that was how you were doing it before, and you just continue as normal. But please be aware, if you are going to choose to upgrade to version 29.2, you cannot revert back to the old bank feeds design in earlier versions. So I just want to make you aware of that. Can bank feeds be used with foreign bank accounts? So foreign currency rules is not supported, but we do support foreign currency bank feeds. Now, it's just a case of when you come to activate bank feeds, set up bank feeds, you just need to make sure when you're searching for your bank, you're selecting the right country. And lastly, are bank feeds in real time? So no. So data is sent from the banking service, and a single feed of data is received per 24-hour period at 7 AM by default. Transactions after 7 AM that day may be able to be manually downloaded depending on your provider. So you might have two bank accounts set up in your software. So you might have a Lloyds and you might have a Barclays or a Barclaycard. Lloyds might only send that feed once per day. So you might have to wait until the following day for any transactions that have occurred after 7 AM. Whereas Barclaycard might send multiple feeds throughout the day. So then you can just click down manually download at the top of your bank feed screen. But again, it's out of our control. It's up to the bank, your bank provider, how many times they send that feed. So I just want to cover a question there from Adele as well. As I mentioned earlier, is there a charge from the bank? So no, there's no charge from us and there's no charge from the bank. It is free to use. Okay, so I just want to move on now to briefly cover the bank feeds rules. Keep your questions coming. I can see you've kept Michael and Tina very busy today. Okay, so with bank feeds rules, it's easy to automate your regular bank transaction postings. If a match transaction occurs on a regular basis, you can easily set up bank feeds rules to create the Sage transaction and split transactions between different nominal codes when the relevant bank transaction is next downloaded. The rule can be set up to post the Sage transaction automatically, or it can be reviewed and approved before it is posted. Again, we do have a session on bank feeds rules in 2 weeks' time on the 21st of November. If you would like to register, I have included the link there on the green button there. So if you just click that green button, if you've got the handout downloaded, you can get registered for that session. If you can't wait till then, that link I put at the beginning of the session for the bank feeds in the previous versions, that also covers bank feeds rules. So you can also use that link as well, as the bank feeds rules hasn't changed as of yet, so that session is still relevant. Okay, so let's move on to bank feeds activation. So I'm just going to explain a little bit of how bank feeds actually links to Sage. So it will either connect directly to your bank or via Plaid, which is our third-party provider. So a direct bank feed. So it's up to your bank. It's down to the bank which way they choose to do this. So they've got a direct bank feed, so they can connect directly to your bank and the software, and it will therefore launch into the normal internet banking sign-in screen upon selection. So a little pop-up will come up and you will log into your bank as normal. But you've also got bank feeds via Plaid. So for some banks, to securely import your bank transactions, we've partnered with Plaid, which is an FCA authorized service, to form a direct connection with your bank. Now, please note, your sign-up process may differ depending on your bank provider. But what I'll do now is I'm just going to show you another demonstration of how the setup actually works. So I'll quickly play this, and then we'll come back to summarize the session. Keep your questions coming throughout so that me, Michael and Tina can answer those for you.
Let's take a look at the bank feed sign-up process. If you are new to bank feeds, then it's quick and easy to set up, providing you have your internet banking credentials to hand. If you've already used Sage Cloud Connected Services before for features like remote data access, or if you've used bank feeds before, you'll also need to log in with these credentials. If you've not set up connected services, the sign-up process is simple. Click Connect Bank and fill in your personal and business information. You will then get the option to sign into your Sage account if you already have one, and if not, you can create one here. Here we'll show you how easy it is to create a Sage account and the details required. Once connected, the success message will appear and you can now connect to your bank account. Once logged into Connected Services, select the bank account you wish to connect and click Connect Bank. Here you're offered a list of popular banks, but there is also the option to search for your bank account. If you can't locate your bank account using the search feature, then it's not currently a supported bank account. There are two ways in which a connection to a bank can be made, and this depends on the banking provider. Direct bank feeds, which are indicated by the term Connection Powered by Sage, and those which access your bank account via our third-party provider, Plaid. The sign-up for each is very slightly different, as we'll demonstrate now. For those bank accounts that allow direct bank feeds, click on the bank account and then agree to Sage retrieving your bank account data. This will then take you direct to your bank's internet banking login page. Sign in using your bank credentials and completing any two-factor authentication along the way. Once connected, choose the date you want to download the transactions from and select Continue. Click Finish, and now you can see that your bank is showing as connected. To connect to a bank which connects via Plaid, the sign-up is slightly different. Again, select your bank account and select Continue, and then Continue again. You will need to allow Plaid to retrieve your data for 90 days and then continue to log in. Here you'll need to enter your internet banking credentials, again completing any two-factor authentication. Select the correct bank account from the list, and if you wish to opt in to sharing any additional data. Finally, accept the terms and conditions and connect account information. You are informed if the connection is successful, and again you can choose the date you wish to start downloading transactions from. Once finished, you can see your bank is showing as connected.
Okay, so that is the activation. Again, there's loads of information on our help centre. We do also have a bank feeds hub. I'll quickly show you on the software. If I just pop into my version 29, I just want to show you where you can get that support from as well. So if we go into my software, if I go into bank feeds, specifically on version 29, we've now got the help option in the top right hand corner. So if I just click on there, it's going to give me specific support for not only just bank feeds, but bank feeds in 29.2 as well. So you've got bank feeds in there, you've got using bank feeds in version 29.2, you've got global settings. So there's loads of things that you can get support on directly within your software. You can even use the search option as well if not necessarily what you're looking for is coming up here. Now, we did get a question coming through there from Champion. I just want to quickly cover this as well. So, is it quicker to use bank feeds? At present, I'm downloading, I'm assuming your bank transactions, then inserting them into an Excel sheet, given basically you're importing your transactions into Sage via Excel. So it's taking you about 3 hours, 3 months of importing. So it depends on, is it going to save you time? It's really hard to say. The best thing is to be setting it up, trying it. If it's not for you, then you simply don't have to do anything with it. You can simply go back to what you were doing before, but I definitely think it's going to be worth trying. I think that's where you're going to get the true results there. Okay. So again, I can see another question's come through there from Maxine. So is there additional charge for played? So no, there is no additional charge at all for bank feeds, using bank feeds, processing in bank feeds from either us or the bank. Okay, so I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop back to my slides. And I just want to summarize the session. Again, keep your questions coming throughout as we're still here to answer your questions as well. Okay, so to summarize, bank feeds saves time and reduces manual entry. It's free to use. Set up bank feeds rules and automate your processing. So reducing manual entry errors, and you can approve automatic postings. And again, those doing approvals is optional. You can't just get it up to automatically post without having to approve those every time. Foreign banks are supported, but foreign bank feed rules are not. You do get in-product help and support within the module. And again, as I've mentioned, the bank feeds feature cannot be reverted back to the old design once you have upgraded to version 29.2. Now, if you are on an earlier version and you have stayed on this session anyways, and you are looking to upgrade to the latest version, if you ever have the handout downloaded, you can see I've included those useful links, so the Help Centre and the Install Hub as well. Just a reminder, you will receive a link to the recording in your follow-up email as well. Now, we've got a couple of minutes left, so I just want to show you the remaining sessions that we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks. So I'm just going to show you how you can access those sessions and how to register directly from your software. So I'm just going to pop back to my Sage. And in your homepage, you've got free webinars. If you're on an earlier version, you can pop into your help drop down and you will have a link for webinars as well. So on our homepage, so if we just scroll down to the registrations, again, if you are looking for the link to the bank feeds on earlier versions, you will find it in the previous recordings link. So I can see there, Laura is asking, can this be used on version 27.2? So you can use bank feeds on version 27.2. It's just not going to look like the main demonstration that we've shown today. You will need to watch the link that I put in the chat for bank feeds for earlier versions. And that will show you how it works on the version that you're currently on. So what we've got coming up, so the rest of International Accounting Week, or day rather. So tomorrow we've got filter and quick search. We've got memorize and recall. Recurring items in bank accounts and invoicing. We've got batch reporting. Emailing invoices using Microsoft Outlook. And we've also as well, at the end of the week, you've got the 50 accounts quiz as well. Can see a question's just come in there from Hillary. If I upgrade to 29.2, do I need to reload all my bank feeds rules? So if you're already currently using bank feeds in an earlier version, you're using bank feeds rules as well. When you upgrade to 29.2, it will automatically transfer everything for you. So you don't need to re-register for bank feeds. You don't need to reset up your rules. They will all transfer automatically for you. Okay, so other live webinars we've got coming up as well. We've got reconciling your bank account. So that's the manual reconciliation. That's on Monday. And we've got one on the 22nd as well. We've got age debtors, special codes. So you can find all the ones that we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks on this registration page. Okay, so pop back to my slides there. So that does bring us to the end of today's session. We've finished nicely, just a minute over. Please feel free to stay around for the next couple of minutes or so if you are waiting for an answer to a question, or if you do have any further questions to ask, now is your time. If you've got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. Upon exiting the session, you will see a survey at the end. If you could let us know any feedback regarding the session and the new and improved bank feeds feature, please do fill it out for us as well. It shouldn't take you too long. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put myself on mute to see if there's any outstanding questions that need answering. So I'll come back to you in a moment. You can see a question's just come through there. I have version 27 and seen an advert about version whether you can upgrade. Does that mean that my price will increase? So it depends on your license. So what to do is it's best to contact our support and they'll be able to advise you the best in terms of whether your price will increase. It'll be down to your license whether that would cost. So do get in contact with our support team. coming through from Claire there, and I know we have had this question before, in terms of just bank fees in general. So how safe is information when it comes across from the bank to Sage in regards to getting cloned or scammed? So I'm sure we do have some information on our help centre. I just need to find that information, so I will get back to you via email with that information as well. You can see we've still got some questions coming through, so I'm just going to give another minute or so, and then we'll wrap the session up. Okay, so majority of the questions seem to have been answered. So what I'll do is I'll wrap this session up. I want to say thank you to Michael and Tina, who's been on hand today to answer your questions. You've kept them very, very busy. And thank you to you all for your participation. Just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so please don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.